This is Darlene Knight with JBBDK for JBBDK Business Tips. Think like an entrepreneur, unlocking the mindset of success presentation. Let's first talk about what is an entrepreneur. A lot of people say they're an entrepreneur or they're a solopreneur, and I really don't think people understand exactly what an entrepreneur is. That is a loosely used title that a lot of people give themselves. An entrepreneur is a visionary. That's a person who turns ideas into action. And many of us know entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, people who wear that title, but they're really not visionaries. They really don't turn ideas into action. They may have adopted someone else's idea and they're trying to now turn that into their business and then tagging themselves as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. But entrepreneurs really have vision. You can have a conversation with an entrepreneur and they can tell you what they see, how they see it, what is going to happen. They can even tell you in conversation how their business is going to scale in the next 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. They create, they structure, and they lead a business. Not only do they do this in person, in real life, in real time, they also do it in the sense of mental. That's where the vision comes in at. Often taking financial risk, and anybody knows if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, there is a whole lot of financial risk that goes into taking on this task to solve real world problems and generate profit. That's something else that they do. The idea of an entrepreneur is to solve real world problems and generate some type of profit while you're doing this. Entrepreneurs don't just sell products. And this is what a lot of people who tag themselves as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur believe, that it's all about just selling products or services. And that's not true. They spot opportunities. And if you're an entrepreneur and you have a product or service, you have to be able to spot the opportunities that is going to allow you as the solopreneur or the entrepreneur to scale your business. That's where scaling your business comes from. You have to be able to spot those opportunities, take bold initiative, and then build something impactful from the ground up. And generally, good entrepreneurs are able to see that. They're visionaries. They can turn ideas into action. They're able to spot opportunities. And then you have something that you can build on top of. And that means building a solid foundation and then going from there. Let's talk about what an entrepreneurial mindset is. All about innovations. It's a way of thinking and behaving that drives innovation, resilience, and strategic decision making. And I think many of us fall short when it comes to innovation. And then we have to think about what innovation is. It basically means applying creative ideas, new methods, or improvements to our products or our services or our business operations to create something of value. That is what it's all about. Also, it's more than just starting a business. It's a mindset of value, creation, problem solving, and ownership. And many times you don't see where that entrepreneur or solopreneur is taking ownership where innovation is concerned. Entrepreneurs don't wait for opportunities, they create opportunities. We just talked about that. You have to be able to spot the opportunity. You have to be able to be a person of action and a person who has vision. If you don't have any of that, those traits, it would be very difficult to be an entrepreneur or solopreneur, or even an artisan who is trying to get their product seen by the market. Let's talk about key traits of an entrepreneurial thinker. One is vision oriented. And we just kind of touched on that. 2 is self-driven. You got to be able to encourage yourself. And I know there's a Bible scripture that talks about to encourage thyself. Number 3, curious and constant learners. And I am always talking about learning. You got to educate yourself. You got to keep learning and learning and learning. Free information is good stuff. But there are times when you really have to pay for some information. Like you really have to pay for a workshop. You really have to pay for some type of training. And it all makes sense if you're trying to grow your business from the ground up. And number 4 is comfortable with risk. As you know, as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, there is always some risk involved. There is always some type of risk involved. That is just a given. That is a part of the landscape as an entrepreneur, and it is what it is. Number 5 is resilient through failure. Understanding that failure does not mean it is the end. Failure is basically feedback that you can learn from, and you have to be resilient. You have to be able to jump back. If something fails, if it doesn't come through like you thought it was going to come through, that's okay. Use it like analytics, because that's basically what it is. It's feedback, analytics. You take it, you learn from it, you pivot from it, and you make it, keep working for yourself. And number 6 is action oriented. Any true entrepreneur that we know, they're action oriented. You can't stop them from doing something. It's like they have the vision, they understand the direction that they're going, and they're very action oriented. And number 7 is customer focus. They've always got their customer in mind as they build. This is a really good one. Employee versus entrepreneur mindset. And this one takes a little focus. And if you worked a job for any length of time, it takes a minute to kind of get away from this employee mindset. And that's a given. Don't be hard on yourself. I mean, we all worked regular full-time jobs at good companies and probably made good money and got all the benefits that come along with it and all that good stuff. And then there comes this shift where we say, okay, you know what? I have a talent here, or I can make this, or I can do this. I can provide a product or a service, and I want to start my own business. I want to be an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And it does take a minute for a mind shift, and don't be hard on yourself if your mind hasn't shifted from employee to an entrepreneur mindset as of yet. It'll happen. So just let's touch on some things. Trait, security. Employee, a job gives us security many times. But when you look at the landscape right now, with a lot of these jobs, the security is not like the security used to be. So that's what an employee mindset is. It's a job, it's salary, that money is coming in like it's supposed to come in once a month, every 2 weeks, every week, however one gets paid. But the entrepreneur mindset is creating value and income. So not only are we trying to create some type of income, and we don't want just necessarily passive income coming in either. We want income coming in. Income that is going to sustain us, but we also have to be creating some type of value as well. Direction, the trait, direction. An employee mindset follows the rules. That is what we're conditioned to do. I know there's a lot of graduations this year, and I'm looking at all these young people and they're graduating with their degrees and all this kind of stuff. And they've just went through 4 or 5 years of being conditioned to follow rules. And that is generally what college is all about. I'm not knocking college because I'm a college graduate, but I'm just saying it conditions you to follow the rules. An entrepreneur mindset sets vision and direction. That is what it's all about, because you have to build a foundation, and then you have to have the wherewithal and the vision to be able to build on top of that foundation. And then another trait, risk. An employee mindset avoids risk. At all costs, they avoid risk. And why is that? Because it's their job, it's their salary that is at risk. And they're not trying to risk that if that is their sole financial situation that sustains them. An entrepreneur mindset is they manage risk. And if you practice managing risk as an entrepreneur, I think that is a trait or a skill that will carry you through your entire life. I mean, it's just something about being able to manage risk, understand risk, and then be able to move from there. And then another trait is problem solving. An employee waits for help. And generally they have to wait for help because it's not theirs. They work for a company, and that company has rules and policies and regulations and all these type of things. So they have to wait it out. An entrepreneur mindset finds or builds the solution. Even working for a company, if you have an entrepreneur mindset, you do this. You find or build the solution, and many times that type of mindset will get you into a situation, not a positive situation, with a company, because they don't want you to think like that we don't need you trying to find solutions and things like that. And if you are that type of thinker with a company, they will take advantage of it and use it. But many times people don't get promoted, or they don't get the financial rewards that they should get, and those type of things. And then also a trait, ownership. An employee mindset is task driven. It's task driven because we have been conditioned from college. If a person went to college, we have been conditioned as a task driver. We have been conditioned to follow the rules. We have been conditioned to wait for help. Not an entrepreneur mindset. We're outcome driven. That is how our minds work. We're outcome driven. We don't stand around and wait for anybody to tell us how, when, what, or where. And those type of people that have an entrepreneur mindset, they don't work well in corporations because it's not how their minds work. Our minds don't work that way. So you find yourself many times, you'll find entrepreneurial mindset people, they will go from job to job many times because they don't fit into that normal structure, that normal corporate structure of how they want you to think. They want you to think this way. Job, salary, follows the rules, avoids risk, waits for help, and you're task driven as it relates to benefiting the company. And when you're not, your mind is not set like that, and it's the opposite with the entrepreneur mindset, creating value and income. You set visions and direction, you manage risk, you find or build solutions, and you're outcome driven. You don't work well in corporations. It's the reality with a lot of people. Core beliefs that drive entrepreneurs: motivation, got to be self-motivated. I am responsible for my outcomes, and we just talked about that. It is a outcome-driven mindset. I can't stand around and wait on anybody. I got to do this myself. I got to take ownership of this. I got to be accountable for this. Remember this: failure is feedback. It's not defeat. And many times people will accept that failure as a defeat. Like, oh man, I can't do this. This is not going to work out. Oh, wow, this happened. And well, no. Hold on a second. Stand still. Failure is just feedback, like analytics. You take it, you look at it, you see how you can grow from it, you pivot, or maybe even go into a different direction. All is saying that failure is telling you that, okay, this is not going to work. So you do got to figure something else around it. And that's all there is. There's always a way. No matter what it is, there is always a way. And that way may not be the same way that everybody else does it. That's where innovation comes in at. That's where innovation comes in at. That's where outcome driven comes from. It's not like the way everybody else does it. And you don't want to be doing it the same way that everybody else does it. Create value, not just products. Create value, not just products. You got to have some value. And what is that value? Only you know what that value can be when it comes to your product. Now, 5 people at an event may have amethyst stretch bracelets, right? So as a customer, I can go to 5 different tables, and all 5 of these tables basically have the same type of bracelets or earrings or necklaces, right? There's no value in that. That's pretty generic. Those are generic products that I can get at any one of these 5 vendors, right? You have to create more value. So if I come to your table and you have an amethyst and 14 karat gold bracelet with butterfly charms, and not only that, they come in this beautiful little customized box, you have created real value, not something that is generic, but you've created value. And chances are you will get the sale and not the other four vendors, because everything is pretty generic. Let's talk about skills every entrepreneur must practice. And these are needs, right? 1, decision making under uncertainty. I'm not really sure if this is going to work or not. I don't know how I can do this right here. That. Decision making under uncertainty. You got to be able to make some decisions that make good sense. This is where vision comes into play at. This is where you're taking that failure and you're using it as analytics to be able to scale or pivot in a different direction where it comes to your business. Number 2 is time management and prioritization. A lot of people are not good with time management, nor do they prioritize things. So that time management and prioritization could mean you take one day to just develop videos if you have a YouTube channel. So I'm going to take today, I'm going to record 3 videos, right? So you're going to use that entire day. That's time management. And you're going to prioritize that. This is the priority today, Monday, to record 3 videos. Or you can say, well, today I'm going to create 10 necklaces and 5 bracelets with this day. So this day is Wednesday. So I'm going to take Wednesday, This is what I'm going to do today. That is time management. That is prioritizing the task, right? Prioritizing the task. Number 3 is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. You can't let whatever is a negative going on with your business or in your life affect the building of your business. A lot of times what will happen is people will go through some situations in their personal life, which is connected to our emotions, and it will cause us to step back and our business will get neglected. Or what will happen is we will begin to see that emotion in what it is that we're doing. And we have to have some emotional intelligence when it comes to that. Our business is our business. Our personal life is our personal life. Our personal life has nothing to do with our business when we are building a business. And one thing people don't want to be a part of is any emotional situations that a person is going through. You can share like, hey, well, I just went through this little emotion. So you might see, a lack of enthusiasm in my videos or something like such, only because I just went through some type of emotional situation with whatever. You don't have to even say what it is. And then that's communicating to your community and people understand, oh, okay, well, I can tell, because usually she's all up and full of energy and enthusiastic and, just really this light. But all of a sudden she's more quiet. She doesn't have the excitement, right? Because something is going on. But if you communicate that to your community, hey, I'm going through a little emotional something right now, but hey, I'll be back. People understand that. And that's where emotional intelligence come in. We got to be able to use our emotional intelligence when we are entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. We don't need to be pouring all that emotion into our business and people just kind of living that out with us. They don't want to live that out with us like that. Number 4, negotiation and communication. We just talked about communication, negotiation, and communication. If you're negotiating, let's say business to business, you want to always have contracts, and whatever your contracts say, and as far as that language and that wording, that is the same language and wording that you are going to use in a verbal aspect. Communication, you're always going to be communicating that. So your contracts, your documents and forms and whatever that is, that information and language should be threaded throughout, even when you communicate it on the verbal level. Number 5, marketing and sales understanding. You got to understand marketing. You got to understand sales. Marketing, you got to figure out some type of way to market, if that's going to be digital, if that's going to be word of mouth, if that's going to be out and about at pop-ups, if at vending shows, if like however you're figuring out your marketing and your sales, you got to understand that stuff as it relates to your business, what it is that you are doing. Just because a marketing strategy works for some other business and it yields them some type of sales, that does not mean it's going to work for yours. So you have to figure out what works for you. Your business and you are a totally different brand, totally different personality, totally different everything. So you have to figure out what works for you. And number 6 is networking. Networking and building relationships. And you don't have to always be selling. You don't have to always be selling. Networking could be where you go out into the community and do some volunteer work. Find different organizations to go to and volunteer, or you can go to like different galas or business workshops or different things like such. And that will allow you to be able to communicate about your brand and about your business. And on top of that, you begin to build relationships. And that is something too. And remember, people buy from people that they like. People do business with people that they like. Let's talk about the entrepreneurial growth cycle. The entrepreneurial growth cycle. And you got to be a real determined person and able to make these 7 things a reality in your life. Number 1 is an idea. And most entrepreneurs come up with an idea. It would be a product or service. And then number 2 is you got to validate by market research or test offers. So market research and test offers, you just kind of figure this out on your own, how you want to do the market research and how you want to do like test offers. Many times with a product, especially if it's like handmade items or something, we test the market by doing events. We might do outside events. We might do cultural events. We might do like spiritual events or something like such. And that's a good way to test the market, that way. Or you can even do something like subscription boxes and That's a whole process to do that type of thing. But you figure that out for you for your business. And number 3 is build. But Darlene, what does build mean? Product, service, creation. That means that you have to always be creating your product. If you're product driven, you have to always, always, always be establishing and building your product. That means creating. You have to always be creating. You have to create so much to where you literally have inventory. You have so much inventory that you have to figure out ways in order to market and sell what it is that you are making. Right? You have to figure that type of stuff out, but you have to always be creating product, always be making a product, and then just kind of going from there. Number 4 is launch, marketing, and selling. We just kind of touched on that part, but marketing and selling, you have to figure out a marketing strategy for you, a marketing product for your product, and selling. That is all on you. And remember, what works for another brand or company does not always work for everybody else. So you have to figure it out how it works around your business's personality, the way that your business operates. And number 5 is learn. Feedback, failures. Remember, feedback is analytics. Failure is also analytics. It allows you to be able to improve or pivot and refine what it is that you're doing. And that could be your marketing and selling. So if it doesn't work the first time, now you got to figure out something else. Maybe I'll do some digital marketing, right? Maybe I'll do some email marketing. Maybe I'll do some live marketing. Maybe I'll just go out and do pop-ups. Maybe I'll do whatever it is that you figure works well for your brand's personality. And number 7 is to scale. And the only way that you can scale is as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to understand that feedback and failures are analytics that will allow you to pivot and refine your business. And in that, you should be able to spot opportunities that are going to allow you to scale. And if you don't have an eye for that and you don't see it, you'll be stagnant as a business. Vision and goal setting like a CEO, okay? Like a CEO, Chief Executive Officer. Set a compelling vision for your business. And this is where the vision comes in at for entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. You have to see past today. You have to see past making product and saying, oh, okay, well, I'm going to just go to that event and just sell at that event. And if that is what an individual wants to do, that's cool stuff. But we're talking about growth here. We're talking about having an entrepreneurial mindset. We're talking about establishing something that you can build on top of and keep building on top of and keep scaling and scaling and scaling to where you look up and you have a sustainable, profitable business. That's what we're talking about here. And then you want to break it down into quarterly SMART goals. Also, I'm going to give you a assignment. Go research what SMART is, SMART. Go research that and then come back and post it in the comment section and let me know what you found. Also, use reverse engineering. Start from the end and plan backwards. Start from the end and plan backwards. What does your vision show you? What do you see in your vision? You can write that down from the back. Do you see yourself with a 2-story building, and that 2-story building inside is the most massive, eclectic collection of your items that you have produced, and on the top you might have a loft and it's a coffee house. Like, what do you see your vision? And you start at the end and then you work your way back. And when you're working your way back, it's like, okay, well, how do I get to that vision that I see? My loft on the top is a coffee house, and on the bottom I have this boutique that is full of eclectic pieces, and it's thriving, and people are just all around. And how did you get there? So that's what that means when it says use reverse engineering. Write it from the back, the end, and then come all the way to the beginning. Mini exercise. You can write out your 3-year entrepreneur vision in 2 to 3 sentences. And if you're able to do that, you got a really clear vision for what it is that you are planning to do, and actually what you see for yourself in the future. Building confidence and overcoming fear. This is a big one with a lot of people. Building confidence and overcoming fear. I hear this a lot. Lack of confidence and fear. I hear a lot from entrepreneurs and also from artisans. First of all, you got to embrace imperfect action. We are all guilty of this one because we want everything to be perfect. We want everything to be perfect, but we have to understand that nothing is perfect. Nothing that we do is going to be 100% perfect. And then 2 is redefine failure as data. We just talked about that. Feedback, failures, use all that as analytics to be able to pivot and refine what it is that you're doing. Build mental toughness with routines like morning habits, journaling, and affirmations. Like morning habits can be prayer and meditation. That could be your exercise where you do your 30-minute exercise, 10-minute exercise, or whatever it is that you do. Journaling is a really, really good one. The book of Habakkuk says to write the vision down and make it plain so they that run may read it and they can understand what they're reading. So journaling is an excellent mental tool. And it helps you to stay on track. And also affirmations. I do a lot of affirmations here in my work studio. I have on the wall, I have different words, and I have words written down, and I look at these things every day. I quote them to myself every day. On top of my morning habits are like meditation and prayer, and also the Word of God. I read a lot of the Word of God in the mornings, and that is my morning rhythm. Also, thinking in systems. We don't think in systems many times as entrepreneurs, and I think only because many people are not conditioned to think as in the terms of systems. Entrepreneurs create repeatable systems, and we have to create those repeatable systems, whatever those are for you. An example would be product development workflows. Okay, figure out some type of product development workflow that works for you, that helps you to be able to create and keep creating product, and then that way you can always have some inventory. Social media content calendars. This is a good one. I think people just kind of shoot from the hip with social media, and they kind of post whenever they post. And you got to always be showing up when it comes to social media content. You may need to have some type of planner or some type of calendar. And then what happens with that is that establishes consistency, right? And then also email marketing funnels. There is an ebook on my website at www.jbbdk.com, and it's all about email marketing. So that's a really good book because there are several different ways to email market, and I don't think a lot of people know them. They're very simple, very easy methods in which one could use, but that book is on the website. Inventory and fulfillment systems. That would be something that you as an individual will figure out for your specific business, those inventory and fulfillment systems. But we do need to put some systems in place in order to help our businesses to grow effectively and efficiently. We have a 5-minute entrepreneur challenge, and this is an activity. The prompt is write down one problem you can solve for someone this week. And you can do this on your own time, whenever you feel like it. Number 2 is then list one action you can take to start solving it. Examples: offer a service, and then create a digital product, and then share content. So it's like however you want to do this, you want to write down one problem, just one problem that you can solve for someone this week. One problem. And then 2 is then list one action you can take to start solving it. And that's just an assignment for you. The CEO habits you need, and these are basically certain behaviors, daily or weekly habits. This is like really, really good stuff to do. Track your time and your money. Track your time and your money. That's where that time management comes in, right? Schedule thinking time. This is time for me where I do meditation and I do prayer. Follow up with leads. If you send out emails, if you send out newsletters, if you send out anything, or if you talk to someone about maybe a business-to-business opportunity, follow up on those leads. Don't just let them, just fly away in the wind. And also study your industry. Read what you can read. Look at the big people, the major people that are a part of the industry that you're in, and kind of study some of what they're doing. And you can always incorporate a little bit of what they're doing into what it is that you're doing, because they didn't come the major whoever they are, just to become the major whoever they are. Chances are they became the major whoever they are because of certain strategies and practices that they're doing. And it's okay to adopt some of those things. And then revisit your goals. And you can't revisit your goals if you don't have goals written down. There's a scripture in the book of John 14, the book of John chapter 14:26, it says that the Holy Spirit will teach us all things we need to know. He will bring all things back to our remembrance in which he has taught us. He can't bring anything back to our remembrance if nothing is in there, right? That's just like our goals. We can't revisit our goals if we don't have goals written down anywhere. That's like that book of Habakkuk says to write the vision down, make it plain, so they that run may read it and understand what it is that they're reading. It's talking about your goals. It's talking about the vision that God gives you. You got to write those things down so that you can revisit them often. And what happens with that is it keeps you on track. It gives you an absolute direction for which you are to go. And then that vision, it continues to get built on top of. Final thoughts. You don't need $1 million idea. Most of us think that we do, that we need $1 million idea. And for me, I don't ask for $1 million. I ask for the Lord to give me the wisdom, the knowledge and understanding to be able to make the $1 million. That's good stuff. And then also you need a mindset that creates momentum. That's where that vision comes in at. You got to write the vision down, make it plain so that you can read it as you run because it gives you direction. That's where that momentum comes in. It's a mindset. It's a mindset based on, driven by vision. Okay. Number 3, be willing to start small. Be willing to start small, fail forward, and keep going. Starting small, failing forward. Failing is analytics. Remember, it allows you to pivot and refine whatever it is that you're doing. And then you're just going to keep going in that direction. The future belongs to creators. And I don't think a lot of people know this. The future literally does belong to those who create. And you got to be bold and think like a CEO while doing this. Questions and answers. Let's see. What's one mindset shift you're taking away from this session? And you can go ahead and put your answer in the comment section below. And then 2, what's your next step as a creator or entrepreneur? I would be happy to hear your thoughts regarding any one of these. What's one mindset shift you're taking away from this session? And 2, what's your next step as a creator or entrepreneur? I would be happy to hear your thoughts regarding that. Also, you could check out our business ebooks and our monthly digital magazine. You want to go head over to www.jbbdk.com. You can sign up for our monthly digital magazine. And then also we have a library of business ebooks on there that are available for immediate, instant downloading. And I want to thank you for watching. That ends this presentation. Darlene Knight with JBBDK for JBBDK Business Tips. Thank you for joining us. This is Darlene Knight with JBBDK for JBBDK Business Tips. And let's get started. This presentation is about visibility tips that work, how artisans can get seen, get sales, and grow their brand. And that's one of the most difficult things for artisans. How, what, where can I sell? So we make these beautiful pieces, no matter what it is. If it's jewelry, if it's woodwork, if it's dolls, if it's candles, if it's tables, if it's fans, if it's diaper bags, no matter what it is that we make, the objective in the end is to sell what it is that we make. And we can't sell it if it's not visible, right? So that's what we're going to go ahead and talk about. Why visibility matters. If people don't know you exist, guess what? They can't buy from you. If they don't know that your brand or your business exists, they cannot buy from you. Visibility builds trust. It builds authority. And it builds community. People buy from brands they feel connected to. So if they don't feel connected to you by way of social media, by way of you participating and vending at different events, and you become familiar, maybe at a farmer's market, at an art festival, at, these different places, there's no connection, right? And people generally only buy from brands that they're familiar with or they're connected to. And a real cool stat is 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase from a brand they follow on social media. So if you're not a brand on social media, or you are a brand on social media, right? You have to present yourself as a trusted authority who produces quality. Everything is about quality. What is visibility in business? Well, let's talk about it. Visibility equals being seen by the right people in the right places consistently. And here's where a lot of businesses kind of fall short, because we think we can just show up, we can post a couple of posts, we can throw up some prices, we can do these things and never come back, 6 months down the line, and then repost. Well, that doesn't work. People are really smart. People are very careful about buying, especially online or from a social platform or anything like that. So you have to be consistent. It's almost like a man-woman type relationship. If she just shows up every once in a while, but he's wanting a solid long-term relationship, he's not going to keep doing that with her, and she's not going to keep doing that with him. You have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, that only shows me that more than likely you're not serious about your business or your brand. And then chances are you're a fly-by-night type of business. And it's not about being everywhere. It's about showing up with purpose. For me, the not being everywhere really does mean not being everywhere. However, you can be in most places. So most places might be, for some people, Facebook, Instagram, website, Pinterest, YouTube. You don't necessarily have to be on TikTok or a lot of these other platforms, that we hear about. Pick the ones that make sense for you. Pick the ones where you believe that your market is, and be consistent. Show up often on those different platforms, because you do have to have a social media presence. And I talk about this all the time in a lot of other videos. You have to have a social presence in order to be what's considered a legitimate business or brand. So the first thing that people generally do is, if you want to collaborate, if you want to do business with another, with a like business to business type situation, or you want to do white labeling or private labeling or anything like such, the first thing that potential buyer or collaborator is going to do is go online and check out your social media presence. They're going to look for your Facebook, your Instagram, your website. Are you on YouTube? It's like, okay, are you TikToking? It's like, where are you? So when they go and they search you out and they see that your brand is visible, you can go on Google and go through images or anywhere. Jury by BDK is like kind of all over the place, pretty saturated, right? And the reason why I do that is so that potential business partners or collaborators, they can get a feel for Jury by BDK. They can get a feel for the personality of the brand. They can get some insight to who the designer and the owner is. And you have to have that social media presence. You can even build your presence up on your website, which will yield website traffic. So if you have videos on your website, you have reels on your website, you have photos on your websites where you're doing vending events, or you're taking pictures of your process, your creative process, and things like such, that too can help build web traffic on your website. And also email engagement. People kind of fall short with email engagement. I don't know why. They think it's like obsolete. It's really not obsolete, as long as you're not wearing it out. You're not sending people too many emails in a short period of time. So a monthly newsletter or a monthly digital magazine is like the coolest thing and the most efficient professional thing that you can do to make people aware of your brand and your business. Event exposure. Don't be afraid to go to events. Pick out those events, research those events, find out what the foot traffic is like. A good thing to do for events, any event that you're considering going to, you always want to go to that organizer's website. And generally what happens is they will have the previous year's images from that previous year's event. Look at the pictures from the previous year, and that will give you some type of indicator what you can expect for this upcoming year's event. And what they generally do is when they take the pictures at the busiest time is when they walk around and take those pictures. So if at the busiest time you see that there's a handful of people or not a lot of people, or don't see people walking with bags, that's not a good sign that people are buying. It's a telltale story in those pictures. So check out the pictures. Do a little research for each one of those events that you're wanting to maybe attend and vend at, and then make sure that it makes sense for you. It doesn't make sense to go pay $200, $300, $400 at an event, and that event is not compatible with your product. That's something you don't want to do. And also word of mouth. Word of mouth could either kill your brand or help build your brand up. That's why we always want to produce and distribute quality. Always, always quality. The visibility growth formula. Well, let's talk about it. Number one, clarity. Know who you're talking to. You have to know who you're talking to, who you're selling to. And what exactly does that mean? That means, am I talking to myself? Am I talking to the young lady at my doctor's office when I walk in and she's the medical assistant? Am I talking to her? Am I talking to the little old lady that lives next door to me? Am I talking to that executive professional and LPL when I walk into LPL so I can have a discussion about my investments? Am I talking to her? Am I talking to the young lady that works at the grocery store who's a cashier? Who are you talking to? Who is your customer? That is what you have to figure out. Is it the 8-year-old? Is it the 15-year-old? Is it the 30-year-old? Is it the 45-year-old? Content. Show up with value. Once you know and understand who you are talking to or who your market is, show up with value for whoever that person is that you're talking to. And then you want to be consistent. Consistency is key. Be present regularly. And I think here is where a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs kind of fall short. We think that we can post and we can show up this day and like really go hard and, not show up again for another 6 months. That is not how businesses work. You have to show up. You have to be present. You have to say, okay, this is what this is. This is real to me, is important to me. So I'm going to show up regularly. And number 4 is connection. Engage with real people. That's where a lot of vending comes into place. If you want to start out like doing vending, you want to engage with people, and not only just engage with people in public, like on your social media. There's ways that you can do like Zoom. And then number 5 is call us to action. Tell people what to do next. Tell people what to do next. We assume that every person knows what to do, and they really don't know what to do, especially when they're trying to figure things out. When they're trying to figure things out, they don't know your process. Your process is not clear. Your call to action is not clear. It's like, oh, okay, I like everything about this, but what am I supposed to do next? So you do want to make sure that all your calls of actions are very clear and you're letting people know exactly what you want them to do. Show your process. Let people see the hands and heart behind your work. People love behind the scenes content, be it in pictures and videos more so, but they love to see the behind the scene process. Post ideas like time-lapse videos of your making process, tool setups, or workspace tours. That's a really good one because a lot of people that are just kind of getting into handmade product that they're getting into, many times they don't have a studio set up or their workspace set up. So they're looking for ideas and they're looking for like special tools and these type things. So if you're already set up and you're organized and you have your workspace, decorated and like you want it, that would be a really good something to post in pictures or as video. People really do like video. Start to finish product creation. So start creating something and then show the complete process. And that's where those YouTube videos come in at, okay? Mistakes or behind the scenes moments. People love this. They love this because it shows the realness behind the creator, the realness behind the artisan. Why, you say, Miss Darlene? Because it builds trust and shows authenticity. And that's what people are looking for. People are looking for realness. There's so much fakeness and so much scamming and things going on online. People need you to be a real person. And by being a real person, they want to see the behind the scenes. They want to see the real you. They want to see, hey, show us that you're a real person and your brand. Let us see what you are doing. And you don't have to give your whole life. You don't have to be a reality show, but there are things that you want to show behind the scenes and do little tours and special little videos and reels and things for your people. Leverage social proof. We just kind of talked about this. Authenticity. People want to see that you are a real person. You are doing what it is that you said that you are doing. People want to see that others love your work. What to share. Testimonials are really cool. Testimonials, unboxing videos or customer photos, retail store placements or pop-up highlights, user-generated content, repost with permission. If you get a customer that buys something or a retailer that buys from you at wholesale, and they can send you pictures once they put the product in their store, or the customer is wearing your product, or they're displaying your product or something like such. Ask them, hey, can you send me images? And then make sure that you get permission to repost those images. Quick tip, ask customers to also tag you when they post. That's a really good thing too, to tag you when they post on any one of their social platforms. Use video to your advantage. I cannot stress how important video is and how video is literally taking over. Video is almost like being there. You want to create reels, TikTok videos, shorts for YouTube. And what happens with this is there is a high reach potential, plus your personality gets to be seen. Not only your product, but your personality. Video ideas for artisans would be packaging and order with me, quick DIY tutorials, and I do a lot of this on my YouTube channel. Product styling ideas, what inspires your pieces, voiceovers with your story or tips. And those are just some ideas for artisans, like if you want to get started doing some YouTube videos, or if you want to get started doing some reels, some TikToks, some shorts. Those are just some quick ideas that I could think of, off the top of my head. Really simple, really easy things to do. And just a quick tip, keep it short, keep it clear, and scroll stopping. And that takes a minute. That's not immediate to kind of figure these things out. Like with these videos, what part should I show? What part should I not show? It takes a minute, for you to figure it out. But there's nothing like getting in there, getting started, trying it out, and then building from that point. And then let's talk about collaborate for cross exposure. Collaborate for cross exposure. Partner with other makers or artisans, local businesses. And if you're trying to partner with local businesses, there is a whole pitch process that comes in with that. There is a ebook on my website at www.jbbdk.com. And that ebook has 20 professional pitch letters in there that you can look at. You can look at the wording. You can use them as they are, or you can revise them. So it does take a little process if you're trying to, pitch to local businesses, stylists, influencers, retailers, or such, right? That's a little process with that one. And why it works, you get introduced to new pre-qualified audiences. They're pre-qualified audiences, meaning that when you collaborate with whoever it is that you're wanting to collaborate with, they approve and they say, yes, we can do this. You're getting introduced to their already in place audience, and that audience respects, appreciates that entity that you are collaborating with. And that's good stuff right there. Pinterest for long-term visibility. I think people kind of forget about Pinterest. I don't know why. It's a very usable and valuable platform. It's a visual platform. And for some reason, a lot of people just forget about Pinterest. But Pinterest is that rich auntie that you forget to call when you need to borrow some money, right? But that's how Pinterest is. Pinterest works like a visual search engine, and it does. It's ideal for artists, jewelers, and crafters. And you can pin like product shots, behind the scenes photos, tutorials, or blog posts. And the cool thing about this is too, with Pinterest, you can also link you can add links. So once you put the images in there, you're able to also add links, and those links can go to like any one of your social platforms. That link can go to your website. So it's a rich auntie. It's a really wealthy auntie that we don't call when we need money, but we need to call. Okay. So just think about that. And also build and use your email list. Email lists have kind of gotten a bad rap, and they kind of got a bad rap because people overuse it. So email is one of the highest converting tools, and it really truly is. Every time I use email marketing, I do really well when I use email marketing. Anytime I send anything out, the response is very good, is very well. People sign up for my email, for my digital magazines all the time, for promotional emails and all that good stuff. But for me, I don't overuse it. I might send things out once a month, every once in a while, might be twice a month. You want to share behind the scenes updates, new product launches, early access or VIP promos. Use lead magnets, get 10% off your first order, or free guide to handmade care. And I do send out, I do a lot here and there with free downloads for my business ebook. So I do a lot of that. And also a pro tip, start with one email per month and grow from there. When I say grow from there, one, maybe two per month, and make sure it's a good, solid email. It's not nonsense. It's not, simple stuff where it's intrusive to people. Make sure it's a valuable email that you're sending out. Oh, I just feel like sending out an email today. No, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure it's always value and it's always quality. Optimize product listings for SEO. This is a hot one because I see people write their descriptions, their product titles, and they look like they don't have very much thought into them, but all that makes a big difference. Whether you're on Etsy, it's your website, or if you're selling on Fair, the fair.com wholesale website, which is a platform I would suggest that any artisan look into, research it, see if you can get approved so that you can sell wholesale on that fair.com website. There's a link in the description below there. You can click on that and go over to the fair.com and sign up if you have a website. And then also on my website at www.jbbdk.com, there is a free downloadable document that tells you everything about Fair, everything you need to know about Fair. And then also product titles. You want to be very specific about product titles, about your descriptions, your tags. And then there's something that's called image alt text, where you can go ahead and add extra text in there, and that picks up for individuals who are not able to see. So there's text that comes through. I forget what their machines are called, but it's for individuals who are not able to see. Tools that can help you out, and there's some listed here. You can go through and just kind of pick one and see if they make sense for you, and then just kind of go from there. And if they don't work for you, just do some research and find some other tools. Also, go offline to get seen. Join local artisan markets, teach a workshop, host an open studio day, send your line sheet to a boutique. So with the line sheet, not only would you be sending a line sheet, that's where that pitch letter comes in. You want to have a pitch letter. You want to have a line sheet. There's like this whole packet that goes with pitching to like boutiques and cruise ships and cultural institutions and amusement parks and hospital gift shop. There's like this whole pitch packet that goes along with that. So not just a line sheet. You want to leave branded postcards at coffee shops if you can. Make sure you get permission, or salons. Get permission. Salons are a really good place too, depending on what your product is. If you make any type of herbal hair solutions, it could be shampoo, it could be oil for the hair, anything like that. Salons would be a pretty good place to market those products, even collaborating with the owner to say, hey, we could just try my product out if you want to, see how it works, and if it works, maybe we can collab, and you can buy from me wholesale, or I can put the product in and then you get a percentage of whatever sold. So there are ways to do things. Visibility isn't just online. Show up in your local community as well. That may mean sometime volunteering at other different events that have nothing to do with what your brand is all about. However, the networking allows you to be able to build rapport, relationships, and that will allow you to be able to communicate about what it is that you do, who you are, and who your brand is. So it's not always about selling. It's not always about popping up somewhere to sell. It's about building hopefully relationships and building this strong network and community of individuals who are familiar with your brand, who are familiar with your business, and that in turn helps you grow. Because remember, people generally buy from people that they like. People usually do business with people that they like. And if they see you as an authority, guess what? One thing leads to something else, and then before you know it, you're growing like you never thought that you could. So all of that makes a difference. Engage with your audience. This is like really important. I see a lot of small businesses and brands where they may have community that will make posts or like they're really engaged, but the artisan or the business owner never replies. Nobody ever replies. Nobody ever says anything. That's almost like two people standing, or you walk into a business and you're asking that business owner questions and the business owner is just standing there looking at you and not saying a word to you, but you have something in your hand that you want to buy and you're still trying to ask questions about whatever that is, but yet the owner is not saying anything to you. At some point, people are just going to stop coming. People are going to just stop commenting. And that's not good stuff, and that's not how you build a brand or a business. Reply to every comment and direct message if you can. If you can't, okay, cool. Make sure you say that in a post. Make sure you say that in your email. Make sure you say that on a video, but let people know that is a form of communication. That is a form of healthy communication when you can communicate back. Hey, I see the comments. I got the direct messages. I got all the DMs. I got it all. And I do apologize. There are so many. I am not able to answer them all at one time. However, I do see that there's about 30 of the questions, 30 of the comments are the same. So I'm doing this video to answer those questions, right? So you have to communicate to people in that way that your potential community or your solid community does not feel, dismissed. Ask questions and captions. Host a poll or quiz in stories. Share customer stories. That's a really good one. Share customer stories. The more you interact, the more people see you and remember you. And that's what it's all about. Because remember, we're building a rapport. We're building relationships. We're building a community of people. And people generally buy from people that they like, people that they know, people who's an authority. And a real person. They want a real person. Be consistent, not perfect, because none of us are perfect. However, we do be striving for perfection. And a lot of times that will hold us back and that will stagnate us because we will go over something 1,000 times. That's like with this video. In the beginning of the video, I know I made some hiccups, but my whole thing is if I turn the camera off, if I turn the recorder off, and then go back, I'm going to keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. So my whole thing is, if there's some hiccups in the video, just know that none of this is perfect. I'm going to do the best that I could do with these video recordings, and I'm going to make sure that the presentations are the best that I can do, but nothing is perfect. Nothing is perfect. And I guarantee you, if anything is perfect in the way of recordings or presentations, those people are doing them things probably 1,000 times, more than likely 1,000 times. However, we're just not practicing that over here. I'm going to do the best I can to try to present you with a quality, and we're just going to go from there. You don't have to post every day. You do not have to post every day. Now, if you want to post every day, post every day. You just have to show up regularly, be real, and stay aligned with your brand. That is all that it's about. Plan a simple weekly content rhythm. And for me, I have a journal. I have a planner. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of projecting. I do a lot of setting a day up just to create, or I set a day up just to do writing. I set a day up So I'm pretty good about time management, and that's basically what planning a simple week is, your content rhythm. Monday, making Monday studio shots. Now that could be like on Mondays, hey, this is going to be my take pictures day. So for me, with my product for Jewelry by BDK, I take very professional pictures to sell my product, and also I sell the images of my products on iStock. On iStock, and then there's 2 other websites that I sell my images on. So Monday's studio shots day. Wednesday could be work in progress day. Friday could be finished piece plus a story day. Now this is specific to me, not specific to you. You pick the days that work for you, and then you just kind of you go from there. You figure out your rhythm, you find out what works for you, and then you just keep the line moving. That's all it's about, being consistent, being true to what it is that you're doing, because what we're doing is we're building visibility. We're building awareness. The visibility checklist, let's talk about it. Clear brand visuals and messages. There is a video on here that talks about branding, and it talks about your visuals. So that would be a really good video to go back and watch. And also social media presence, 2 to 3 platforms. I said 2 to 3 platforms max, because most people can't handle more than 2 to 3 platforms. So if you're doing YouTube, you're doing Pinterest, and you're doing maybe Instagram, that's a lot, because YouTube by itself requires a lot of work because you're making videos. Instagram is all about images, so you have to take a lot of pictures, you have to do a lot of, there's a lot of context that goes into that. And then Pinterest is all about pictures. It's all about visuals, right? So that's a lot right there, just those 3 platforms. So you pick the platforms. You could maybe do 5 if you wanted to, add a TikTok up in there and any other platform you want to add, Facebook. It's about whatever and how many ever that you can handle and be consistent regularly. And that's the whole point, and that's why I chose the magic numbers of 2 and 3. At least 1 video per week. But if you're going to do more than 1 video per week, which I suggest if you're doing like YouTube long form videos, I would suggest more than 1 video per week. But if you're doing like reels and TikToks and shorts, you could do as many of those as you want to, basically using your cell phone. So that's a real easy one. So that would easily be more than 1 video per week. Customer testimonials or photos. Those are always cool to get if you can get those. Collaborations or in-person events. Those are very valuable. And if you can journey along that street, that would be great for you to do. Strong product SEO. Check into maybe like ChatGPT or some other AI tool that you can use to help you to begin to be able to put out strong SEO optimization for your titles, descriptions, and such, and an active email list. So if you're doing any outside events, be sure to collect email addresses. You can do that by way of a QR code. You can do that by a sign-up sheet. You can do that by a contest. You can do that by like a giveaway or whatever it is, but collect those emails and make sure people know why you're getting their emails, because they're going to be receiving either your monthly newsletter or your monthly digital magazine or some type of promotional information. So you do want them to know that, right? And you don't need to go viral to become successful. You just need to be visible to the right people consistently. And that is what it is all about. Your story, process, and creativity are already powerful. Let the world see it. And the only way that they can see it is you have to be visual. You have to put in the work. You have to make it all make sense and all thread together on these different platforms, offline, by email, any and every way possible. And you got to be consistent. You gotta be consistent. And that's where you win, by being consistent. Check out our business ebooks plus our monthly digital magazine, and they're available for instant download on our website at www.jbbdk.com. Darlene Knight from Jewelry by BDK for JBBDK Business Tips. Well, hey family, let's talk about some business. Today's video is about business tips for artisans turning creativity into profit, presented by Darlene Knight. Introduction. We're going to be covering a brief intro about Darlene, her craft and business, We're going to cover some business tips for artisans. We're going to talk about how to grow your craft into a sustainable business. We're also going to cover branding, pricing, marketing, and some growth tips when it comes to your craft business. Who is Darlene Knight? Darlene Knight is the founder and designer behind Jewelry by BDK. It's a brand celebrated for its earthy, bohemian-inspired jewelry that blends artistic expression with wearable elegance. Based in San Diego, California, Darlene brings over 20 years of experience in crafting leather, suede, and beaded jewelry collections, establishing herself as a creative force in an artisan jewelry space. So I started my jewelry making journey using leather and suede to create necklaces, earrings, beautiful bold bracelets, and the like. And the reason and how I became a creative force in the artisan jewelry space is I used to vend at music festivals, street fairs. I had my product or my collection in a couple of boutiques. I was just pretty much all over the place, with that leather and suede jewelry until the jewelry stores that I would buy my leather from, which was nice, soft, genuine leather, they began to close down one by one. And these were small mom and pop shops where I used to go and get my leather pieces from. And when the last one closed down, before they closed down, I went in and I literally stocked up on all the scraps that they had, all the soft leather. And after that, I had to start buying leather from places like Amazon and other vendors. But every time I would get the leather, it was either too thick, the colors were faded. It was just always something with the leather. It was never quite right. So I transitioned into beaded jewelry. And that is what I do now, pretty much beaded, boho, bohemian-inspired jewelry. My brand, Jewelry by BDK, offers a wide range of handmade pieces that may include bracelets, necklaces, and earrings. They're crafted with premium materials and designed to resonate with free-spirited, fashion-forward individuals. Very eclectic and bold in personality and dress. Those are the individuals that pretty much gravitate to my collections. In 2023, I expanded my reach by launching a new collection on Fair.com, and Fair.com is a wholesale platform which connects independent retailers with designers, further solidifying my presence in the lifestyle and fashion markets. If you haven't considered selling on Fair.com as of yet, you may want to consider that. It is a wholesale platform. That platform is where like the major retailers generally go to purchase in bulk. And many times you will find on there that you can find items private. You can do some private labeling or white labeling on that website. And I guarantee you any one of these entities that you're thinking to pitch to, they more than likely purchase off of Fair.com. Beyond my online boutique, I share my passion and expertise through my YouTube channel, where I offer tutorials and insights into my design process, aiming to inspire and educate fellow artisans and jewelry enthusiasts. There's a lot of people that are wanting or have started making jewelry, and they're really not sure what to do with that jewelry or what direction to go in. Many people have said that they started making jewelry just pretty much as a hobby, or making pieces for themselves. However, at some point, the more that you make, the mindset becomes, you know what, I can sell this, right? But where do I sell this? And then for those who are interested in exploring more of my work or learning more about my jewelry design philosophy, you're welcome to visit me at www.jbbdk.com, or you can also visit my Amazon storefront under Jewelry by BDK. And also my jewelry, my YouTube channel, Jewelry by BDK. All right, let's get into it. You want to always craft or design with a purpose. Know your why and what is inspiring you to create art. That art can be wearable art in the sense of what we talked about: necklaces, earrings, bracelets, brooches, anklets, toe rings, rings, whatever it may be. What inspires you to create? And many times what creates most people to create is because they can't find what it is that they themselves like to wear. So many times we will venture out and start creating pieces or things that we like to wear, but we can't find anywhere. And if we find it anywhere, it's too expensive, or it costs more than what we would like to pay for it. And in fact, that's how I started creating my pieces. You always want to define your unique niche. What is unique and particular to you? Whatever is unique and particular to you in style, I guarantee you there is a pocket of people that are out there that are just as excited and in love with your niche as you are. You also want to identify the emotion or story behind your work. What is it that fuels you? What is it that establishes and heightens your emotion? That is the story that you want to create and weave throughout your collections. Branding your artistry. Create a memorable brand name and logo. Many times what happened with this part is people would just kind of come up with any type of name. Just off the top of their head, they think of something. It takes a little bit more than a couple of seconds many times to come up with a name and a logo, because you want to think long term. Will that name sustain the scalability with my business? So 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, does that name, does my logo fit, right? So you do want to be very considerate and take a little time when you're coming up with a brand name and also a logo. You also want to be consistent with your color palettes and packaging. You can't be all over the place with colors. You got to find some colors, stick to those colors, make those colors, your brand husband or your brand wife. Stick to that, keep that moving, let that run throughout your packaging. You also want to build a compelling brand story that connects emotionally, and we talked about that in the previous slide. You want to build a compelling brand story that connects emotionally with your brand, with your story, with who you are, what you're presenting, okay? And then we want to talk about pricing for profit. Here's where a lot of people have a lot of problems when it comes to pricing. They're really not sure how to price their products. And it is a little science to it. You can find, I have several books on my website at www.jbbdk.com. And one is about the psychology of pricing. And then the other one is something about costs, understanding and learning about costs. So there's a couple of ebooks on there that are available for immediate downloads once you purchase them. Really good, solid, valuable information about pricing. And one is you have to understand cost of materials and your time. So it's all about what goes out, what comes in, expenses and profit, expenses and profits. And you'll probably have to keep some type of tally sheet or some type of spreadsheet or something that communicates cost of materials plus your time. What does it take for your time? How much are you charging or including in your materials for your time? Also add value-based pricing. That would include for the originality of what it is that you're making, the craftsmanship and the story. All three are very, very valuable when it comes to pricing. So how original are your pieces? Is it just a tiger beaded bracelet that 5 other people make? Or is it a tiger eye bracelet that has brass beads and it's strung with 100% gold charms, and it's something that is totally original and the craftsmanship is amazingly told in the story? Or is it just something that's simple, anybody can find anywhere every day, 5 days a week, 7 days a week? You want to consider all. Also include a profit margin, shipping, packaging, and marketing costs. All of those are costs and all of those are expenses. So you got to include your profit margin. How much do you want to make, right? How much profit can you make off of what it is that you are offering? You have to include your shipping. You have to include the packaging. You have to include the marketing costs. All this is inclusive. And again, I have several ebooks that talk about pricing on my website, www.jbbdk.com. And then let's talk about product presentation. You want to invest in high quality photos of your products. There's something absolutely amazing about high quality photos for your products. Not only do those quality photos help you to sell whatever product it is that you're trying to sell, if those photos are so high quality that they're able to sell your product, you can also sell those photos of your products. Not just the products themselves, but also photos of your products. And you can sell photos of your products on websites like iStock, Getty Images, and there are some other websites that you can research and find out, like where you can sell high quality photos. And also you want to write descriptions that sell. Use sensory and emotional language. There's emotional language. There's some sensory language, and you can do some research. Consider using AI. To use AI as much as you possibly can to curate descriptions and to find keywords and trigger words and high ranking words in order to create your descriptions. Anytime you are selling on your website, you're selling on Etsy, you're selling on Fair, you're selling on eBay, on any one of these platforms, you want to be very particular about the words that you use. You want to make sure it's emotional language or using sensory words. Offer clear options like sizes, material, and care tips. Sizes, many times you'll see where it'll say one size fits all. Well, one size really don't fit all. So you want to be very specific about that. If it says one size fits all, you want to also put in parentheses. It could be sizes small through XL or something like such, because generally one size fits all is not a really one size fits all. Materials, you want to talk about the materials that you're using, and also care tips. That way people can know and understand how to take care of what it is that they're purchasing from you. Now let's talk about marketing essentials. You want to use social media to show your process, not just your product. So it's not always about just trying to sell. You want to push information that is valuable information that people might be intrigued with watching. And that's usually like the process of something, how you're making it, what are the steps included in it. And you can do this by having a YouTube channel. And then once you have that YouTube channel, you can leverage it with short videos and reels that you can post on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or anywhere else, any other social media that you might have. You also want to build an email list and then send out monthly updates. Now with an email list, many people are doing outside events. And there are ways to capture people's emails, and that should be one of the objectives when you're out and about and you're vending. You should never leave an event without capturing emails. You have to figure out some type of system that will allow you to collect people's emails. If it's using a QR code, if it's using a sign-up list, if it's doing a little contest at your table and people got to fill out a piece of paper or something and put it in a bowl. Any way that you can figure out that it's compatible with that environment so that you can leave there with people's emails, with them understanding that they will receive your monthly newsletter or promotions or something like such. But that should be one of the goals anytime you're participating at any event where you're selling, be it a street fair or anywhere. Sell smarter. We always want to sell smarter. You want to diversify your selling platforms. We just covered this. Etsy, your own website, local boutiques, art fairs, cruise ships, souvenir shops. People look past boutiques and art fairs and cruise ships and souvenir shops. And those are places that you can actually create a letter, a pitch letter. And you can pitch that letter to these different businesses or retailers. You can even offer them what's called private labeling or white labeling. And that's where they, purchase your product. There is a video on here. You can go watch that video, and it covers everything about white labeling or private labeling. There is also a book that you can find. It's an ebook. You can find it on my website, www.jbbdk.com. And it's pitch model business letters. There's 20 letters. That's like $1 per letter. 20 letters, and they're pitch letters with the terminology, with the letters, and you can edit those. You can take them, you can copy them as they are, or you can revise them to communicate whatever you want to communicate. But those letters are really good for pitching to places like boutiques and cruise ships and hospital gift shops and museums or cultural institutions, sororities, and different places. You also want to consider white labeling or private label opportunities, what we just talked about. You want to package items gift ready to appeal to more buyers. You want to package items gift ready to appeal to more buyers. And the reason why you want to do that is because a lot of people are always looking for gifts for someone. So if you have a gift ready item and someone comes along and they see it, that's appealing. That's interesting. That's enticing. Oh, I don't have to do anything with this. Let me have this. All I need to do is maybe put it in a gift bag, drop it in a gift bag and give it to the person. Or if you have it already gift ready in the sense where it's in beautiful packaging and it may come in a cute little gift bag or something like such, or even a customized box. How cool is that, right? That's cool stuff. That's selling smarter. You want to connect with your audience. You want to tell your story, how you started, what inspires you. And I covered that at the very beginning. I kind of told a little bit about, I used to buy leather and suede jewelry from mom and pop stores. I didn't include the part where I started making jewelry because I love big, bold, bright, unique jewelry. Just as unique as I can find it, and different and artistic. And I've always loved jewelry like that. And anytime I saw pieces like that, I would see them in places like Nordstrom's or Neiman and Marcus. And of course, they had a really high price tag on them, right? So at the time, I couldn't afford that. I was too young to buy that. But now I can buy them. But I wouldn't buy them because now I create them, right? So that's how I got started, making the jewelry. And number 2, engage with customers through behind the scenes content. I have found that behind the scenes content is very intriguing. And my community of people seem to really love behind the scenes content when I create that and upload that to YouTube or post it on any of my social media platforms. Also, you want to ask for testimonials and use them in your marketing. These are very valuable and they make a lot of sense because it gives potential buyers and potential people that want to join your community. It gives them some type of insight on what others think about or feel about your brand, you and your brand. Also, plan for growth. Most people don't plan for growth. We kind of get into this groove and I just want to create and I just want to make something without any real planning behind it. But then it gets to a point where you make so much of it. Now you want to try to sell it, but there's no plan. So you have to have some type of plan, like set quarterly goals, like how much revenue you want to make. Consider your audience growth, product releases. And this is where written organization and plans come into place. Even if you got a journal, buy your little journal and begin to write, like set your quarterly goals. Could be, this quarter, I want to create 200 pieces and I want to get those 200 pieces uploaded to the fair.com website. And I'm going to send out 2 newsletters once a month, or I'm going to send out promotional material or promotional email, So you want to set some goals, and you want to also reinvest profits into supplies, education, or packaging. I am a big, big, big promoter of education. I believe that the more that you learn, the further your business will grow, the more that you can elevate yourself in business, right? I just strongly believe in that. And sometimes, some education is free and it's very valuable and it makes a difference. And then there are times when you really have to put out a little bit of money to learn some things that you may not know, but you need to know those things in order to elevate your business to the next level. Also, explore collaborations and wholesale opportunities. Explore collaborations. That could be like with influencers, that could be with other YouTubers, that could be with boutiques or anybody that you consider that is applicable to and matches your brand. Also, wholesale opportunities. I kind of touched on that when I talked about the fair.com platform. That fair.com platform is an amazing platform to get started selling wholesale. And it's just one of the platforms. It's one of the platforms that I like, but you can research it. There is a link in the description below. You can click on that. You can go over to the fair.com website and maybe sign up for it. You do have to be approved. You do have to have a website. They do research. They go check your website and do some other behind the scenes things that they do. Also, you can go over to my website at www.jbbdk.com, and there is a little digital document that you can download, and it'll give you a lot of information about the fair.com platform. Final tips and takeaways. I like this part. You want to always track your progress with a simple spreadsheet or dashboard. This will definitely help you keep up with where you are, the progress that you're making, what you need to work on, what you don't need to work on, where you need to pull back at, where you need to build up at, what your expenses are, what your profits are. So you want to keep track of those things, and you can do that with a spreadsheet. And also stay consistent. Business is built over time. It's not built in a night. It's not built in a day. There are going to be times where you just feel like, okay, I just can't do this. I don't want to do this. I don't see any growth. I don't see anything changing. Everything seems to be the same. Why am I doing this? Right? It's just like having a garden. You go out there, you till the ground, you make sure the ground is good enough for you to start planting seeds, and then you have to take care of the ground. You got to water. You got to prune. You got to cut back the weeds whenever you can cut back weeds. Sometimes you got to let the weed grow with whatever it is that's growing. If not, you'll destroy the fruit or the plants or whatever it is that you're trying to grow. So it goes with a business. It requires time. It requires work. It requires planning. It requires something. You got to do something, right? Keep creating from a place of passion and purpose. And if you keep creating from a place of passion and purpose, the business will definitely grow. There are no ifs and buts about it. It's inevitable. When you put the attention in, when you put the work in, when you plan, and get a journal, write down some goals, write down some plans, go do some research, look at other jewelry makers or artisans. It may not even be jewelry. It might be you make candles. You might make dolls, like whatever that is. Find somebody that does what you do, look at what they're doing, and set some goals for yourself. I found that when you have goals, things that you are aspiring to, it's like, okay, I got that done. I got this done. I got that done. What next? And then keep having small goals that you can accomplish. You can also go to my website and check out our business ebooks from the digital products on www.jbbdk.com. Or if you got any questions that you want to present to me, you're welcome to put them in the comment section, or you can go ahead and email me at jewelrybybdk@gmail.com. That's jewelrybybdk@gmail.com, and you can present your questions, anything that I talked about in here today, or if there's a video that you want me to put together, some type of presentation, go ahead and note that in the comment section, or just email it to me. Alrighty, Darlene Knight, and guess what? We'll talk. This is Darlene Knight with Jewelry by BDK for JBBDK, Business Tips for Artisans. Branding for Artisans. Build a business that feels like you. This presentation is designed to help artisans and handmade business owners build an authentic, memorable brand that reflects their passion and attracts loyal customers. Introduction. We're going to be talking about how to build a business that feels like you. I'm going to be sharing some insight to Jewelry by BDK and myself, Darlene Knight, and my jewelry journey and how branding has transformed that for me. And what is a brand? This is a really big question for a lot of people, especially when they begin the journey of entrepreneurship or they're starting a business. This question will always be there. What is a brand? And a brand is not just a logo. That it's not. Most people think it's the logo. It starts and ends with the logo, and that's untrue. A brand is not just a logo. It's how people feel about your business. Number two, branding includes visuals, tone of voice, customer experience, and the values that your brand brings to the market. And three, what do you want people to feel when they see your work? When we talk about the visuals, there's a lot that goes into the visuals. Visuals are those first impressions that your audience sees. Those include, of course, the logo, which is your brand's face. There's a color palette. So you want to be very particular about the colors that you pick. They could be your favorite colors, or you may want to do a little bit of research to see what specific colors mean, because colors evoke emotion and they set the style for your brand. Also, typography. You want to be very considerate about the fonts that you choose to reflect your brand's personality. So if you have a line of children's clothing, you might want to use like some type of comic writing. You might want to use some type of writing that has a special effect, maybe two colors or different things like such. So, or if you have a luxury brand, your luxury brand, you might want to use like some type of script writing or something that's very elegant, but you want to consider the fonts that you're going to use when it comes to your brand's personality. And then photography style, how your products and lifestyle images look. So what do they look like? Are they high quality? What type of lifestyle does your images reflect in those images? Packaging design. This is what your customers receive and unbox. And you don't have to go way out with boxing and packaging. I see people do a lot of extra packaging. There's a whole lot of graffiti in the box. There's a whole lot of tissue in the bags. Sometimes simple is just enough. Many times it's just too much. And I think what happens, especially with entrepreneurs or smaller businesses, we really go all out when it comes to packaging, like all this extra. I've seen some videos where people will do like reviews for, particular brands. And when they go to open it, you got to open one box and then you got to open another box. And then when you open that box, there's a whole lot of tissue. There's a whole lot of graffiti. There's a whole lot of papers. It's just too much. And sometimes, simple is better many times. So do the evaluation and, test things out when it comes to your packaging design. And remember, consistent visuals make your brand instantly recognizable. That's why we have to get everything perfect. Well, it won't never be perfect, but we want to get everything in alignment and order and as perfect as we can get it in the very beginning, because remember, you're building the foundation, and you're building a foundation that you want to continue to build on. It's bad when you start a business, you're building a foundation and then you don't get the foundation right. So now you got to try to go back and undo some things and then redo some things and it will probably never be the same. Chances are you'll end up creating a whole new entire business. Can it be done? It can be done. But why would you want to do that? So just go ahead and work on the foundation from the very beginning. Take your time when it comes to picking your logo, because that is your brand's face. Be very considerate and aware when you're picking your color palettes. So colors do mean things. Research the colors and see what these different colors, what type of emotions that they generally provoke or said to provoke, right? Your photography style. Be very particular about the images that you take and how you present your products in those images. And with the packaging, be very, simple about the packaging. Whatever you want to do with your packaging is cool stuff. However, just remember, sometimes simple is better. And when we talk about what do you want people to feel when they see your work, there's feelings. Because jewelry buying is an emotional purchase. It's considered to be an emotional purchase. Do you want people to feel inspired by your work? Do you want them to feel empowered? Do you want them to feel calm and peaceful? Or do you want them to feel like unique and your pieces bring this type of artistic look to them that they so much like because they like dressing in this very unique, extravagant type way? Or do you bring feelings of elegant and luxe? Do you bring a feeling of warm and nostalgic, creative, or even connected? Some pieces can make people feel very connected. This piece tells a story that they can relate to. So all needs to be considered when it comes to branding. It's not just about picking a logo, just finding any color that you want to use. It's a lot more that goes into it, and take your time when it comes to picking and choosing those things, right? Know your why. This is one of the things that a lot of people don't even understand, why they do what they do, when they do it, or how they do it, right? I do know, like for many people that are artisans that hand make items, it's passion. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. I love the process from the beginning to the end. And that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So you always want to define your purpose. Why did you start making what you make? And we all have a story for why and how we begin making what we make. How does your craft reflect who you are? That's a really good question that a lot of people cannot answer. How does your craft reflect who you are? Your why guides your brand's tone, visuals, and messaging. That goes back to the branding. That's why you got to be very careful about the branding, the visuals, the colors, the rhythm of your brand. Find your signature style. We all have a signature style. It may take a little minute for us to find that and understand what that is, but generally that includes colors, textures, materials, and it defines our work. Also, is your style bold? Is it soft? Is it earthy? Is it luxurious? Is it minimalist? Is it playful? We need to know all these things because all those things go into the branding. A quick tip: create a visual mood board to stay consistent. A lot of people don't know about a visual mood board. And a visual mood board is just a curated collage of images with the colors and textures and fonts and design elements that visually represent the look, feel, and vibe of your brand or creative project. And this is really, really something smart to do because it's almost like a puzzle, like putting a puzzle together. And you're going through this little trial and test period with this visual mood board. You can do anything you want to do on this visual mood board. It's almost like creating the business on a visual mood board, and then you begin going into the process of creating that business and those items. Think of it as a visual blueprint or inspiration board that helps you stay focused on your brand's style and emotional tone. And that's exactly what a visual mood board does. Create a visual identity. Choose a color palette, and that can be between 3 and 5 colors. And remember, you want to do a little research about the colors, what colors mean, what they're supposed to mean, and what type of emotions they provoke. And again, if you want to use your favorite colors, that's good stuff too. Just make sure that the colors that you use are very compatible and they match well together. Select 1 or 2 fonts that match your brand vibe. Design a logo or have one made that's versatile and clear. Keep your visual style consistent across packaging, website, and social media. Here's where a lot of people kind of drop the ball at. There's no consistency across packaging, websites, or social media. They may have one color on the website. It's all beautiful, and it could be oranges and pinks and greens and all that good stuff. But the packaging might be black and turquoise, and then social media is like a total different color, and like everything else is going on. There has to be consistency that is threaded throughout any and every tool, source, package, website, social media. It has to look the same, be the same, communicate the same. And a lot of times here is where a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses kind of lack in this part right here. But it's consistency, and that consistency comes from branding. Remember, the branding with picking logo, color palettes, and all those things in the very beginning is a foundation that you're establishing. You're building a foundation, and then you're going to build on top of that foundation. Craft your brand voice. Are your designs formal, fun, nurturing, quirky, or inspirational. We always want to use consistent language in your product descriptions, social captions, and emails. And we kind of just touched on that. That's where that foundation comes in at. Your voice should feel like an extension of you. So if you talk in a fun, quirky, off kind of way, that should be communicated in your descriptions, your social media captions, your tagline, just across the board. It should sound exactly like you. Also, design an unforgettable customer experience. And how do you do this? Use thoughtful packaging, thank you notes. And thoughtful packaging does not mean a whole lot of tissue, a whole lot of confetti, a whole lot of extra unnecessary anything. Because think about it, 9 times out of 10, all those things are going in the trash. And you've spent money on those supplies in order to make that packaging look real pretty, right? But at the end, with the customer, it's going in the trash more than likely. You also want to include care cards or a short note about the story behind the piece. Care cards are really good, especially if it's jewelry or a piece of clothing or something, or even if you made dolls, you made real pretty dolls and you made the stand that like a wood stand or something for them to stand on. And how do I care for this doll? It's not going to always look this way because it'll be sitting somewhere on display. It's exhibited. It's going to catch dust. Like anything can happen to it. How do I take care of it? So that would be a really cool something to add into the packaging, a care card. And also make every touch point from your website to your inbox feel warm and on brand. Warm and on brand is literally you. You're the brand. At the end of the day, you're the brand. And that's where the foundation begins. It begins with you. You're the brand, right? But you have to pick all these different things to make the brand be you, speak you, reflect you. Brand story and why it matters. People connect with stories. That's one thing I've learned, that people connect with stories, and everybody has one. And every story is not necessarily the same. And it's not just products. Share your journey, your creative process, or what inspires you. People generally like to hear how your journey started, how you got started making what it is that you make, what your creative process is. And that creative process can be documented. You can begin to record videos and upload those to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you want to do that. Or and also what inspires you. You know, people do like to hear about what inspires you, not how you started, but how you continue on this journey. Include your story on your website, social media, and product tags. Just a little side note, include small cards or tags in your orders that share a story behind the design, a quick founder moment, or a fun did you know about your materials or values. People tend to really enjoy those extra little tidbits of information. Tools to help you stay consistent. Canva is my friend. It is my best friend. Okay, so you can use Canva or Adobe Express for brand templates. You can also store your brand assets like colors, logos, and fonts in a brand kit, which I suggest that you do. You can also plan your content visually using scheduling tools, and you can do some research on scheduling tools. For this one, I didn't want to name any particular tools because the ones that I use I really wasn't pleased with, so I have a whole different system that I use. But do some research for scheduling tools, and hopefully you'll find one that fits you and also your budget. Your next steps. Define your brand words. Example, is it earthy? Is it bold? Is it spiritual? Is it luxe? Create or update your mood board. Remember, we talked about that mood board, and that mood board is almost like a puzzle where you can literally just kind of test things out on the mood board, your colors, before you literally lock in your decisions. So the colors you want to use, the fonts you want to use, like that whole rhythm of communication, your tagline. Like you can do everything on this mood board. And I would suggest that you try that out before you start locking in colors and words and all those good things. Also, review all your platforms. Make sure your branding matches across every single one of them. Everything should look the same. That is what branding is all about. It is consistency in communication, consistency in the visuals, consistency in the feel, consistency in the rhythm of, right? And that is how you are recognized. Your brand is recognized. As soon as I see these colors, as soon as I see this tagline, as soon as I see this font, as soon as I hear that rhythm, that tone, I know that is Jewelry by BDK or JBBDK, right? Keep showing up authentically. You are the brand. Show up being who you are and let that be represented in every piece that you create. Anything and everything that you create, from a post on your social media to your website to the actual item that you make to the photos that you take. All of it makes sense. You are the brand and you are represented in every single piece of your business. Okay, now let's talk about my story and how branding transformed my handmade jewelry business, Jewelry by BDK. So, when I started making jewelry, I literally was making jewelry just for myself. So there were some pieces that I would see, like I used to really shop at Macy's. I used to really love Macy's. I would stop in at Nordstrom's and Neiman Marcus, and if they had a sale on and there was maybe a bracelet or a big chunky beautiful necklace that was at a reasonable price, I would buy it. But that didn't happen too often. So I said, okay, the jewelry that I like to wear, I'm going to have to make this stuff. So I went into a craft store. I don't remember which one it was. I went into the craft store and I'm looking around and I'm seeing the beads and I'm seeing these different things. And I didn't want to use beads. That's why I started using leather and suede, because I didn't want to do beaded jewelry. Everybody was doing beaded jewelry at the time. So my thing is, I want something different. I want something bold. I want something that not everybody is doing or using. After I left the craft store, not seeing anything I wanted, beautiful beads, thick leather, couldn't use the thick leather. There was a store, used to be downtown San Diego. And in that store, they would sell scraps of leather, really soft, beautiful leather. And when you walk into the store, they had like this really huge bin that was just full of all these beautiful, bright pieces of leather. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could make me a bracelet, or I could make something out of that leather and suede. That's what I did. I bought bags of the leather. I began making leather pieces. It was necklaces, bracelets, earrings, like anything that I could, pendants, anything that I could make using that leather material. My jewelry didn't have a voice. It wasn't very specific. It was just pieces I was making. So it really didn't have a vibe. It didn't have a nice energy. They were nice and different because they were leather and suede. So I said, okay, I got to do something different. So I started researching, looking at different jewelry lines online and going into Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's and kind of looking at the pieces that they had and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, what I'm making has to fit into one of these jewelry categories, right? And it came close to boho. I was like, oh, okay, boho. It can be boho. But I said, well, boho is good, but I'm going to start calling mine artistic boho, right? Artistic boho. And then the more research that I did, I would see that these different brands would have like pretty colors and they had like special writing, and I didn't know anything about logo. So I saw the logo. When I would see the logo, I didn't know it was a logo. So the more research that I did, it was like, okay, well, what is the picture that I see on all these different businesses? What is that picture called? And that's how I learned that it was an actual logo, right? So found out it was a logo, and then it just took off from there. The branding did amazing things for the Jewelry by BDK jewelry collection. Once you learn the branding, the colors, the vibe, the voice, the rhythm for your collection, if it's jewelry, if it's doll making, if it's candles, whatever that is, I guarantee you, you will elevate to an entirely different level when it comes to your business. So branding is special. Branding is something that needs to be done. Branding is something that helps you stand out from all the rest. Branding has its own personality. It has its own life. It has its own vibe. And when you build that foundation from the bottom, you want to build that foundation from the bottom. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to think about these things, the colors you want to use, what your logo is going to look like, the rhythm of your conversation, the rhythm of your speech, special words you want to use, the terminology, what trigger words, all that matters. Every single aspect of that matters when you're establishing your brand. And I do hope that this video was beneficial and you learned something from it. Conclusion and questions. Branding is about connection, not perfection, because we concentrate on perfection, and perfection will get us in trouble every single time. Do the work, be as authentic as you possibly can, produce high quality, and everything will work out like it's supposed to. Let your storyboards and designs speak to the heart of your customer, and people know when you're real. They understand when you're real, and they also know when you're fake, okay? So just be you. Build on who you are, build on your personality, and let that be reflected in your brand. Build a business that truly feels like you. It has to feel like you. It has to be you. It's an extension of who you are. That's like with the Jewelry by BDK. Darlene Knight for Jewelry by BDK. Jewelry by BDK and the jewelry that I make is an extension of who I am. I like big, bold, pretty, loud jewelry because I'm not loud and I'm not as bold as my jewelry, right? So the jewelry is an extension of my personality. Artistic, colorful. I love all the colors and the boldness and all that good stuff, right? And it's an extension of who I am. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to put the questions in the comment section, or you can email me at jewelrybybdk@gmail.com. I also suggest that you go over to the Jewelry by BDK website at www.jbbdk.com. Check out our library of business ebooks. They're available for instant downloading. You will also find on the website, we have a monthly digital magazine that is generally filled with a lot of good, useful business information and some other information. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Well, hey family, this is Darlene. Let's talk about some stuff. I do some private label or private branding opportunities with two customers that buy from me on fair.com. And I was like, you know what? This is what I already do. So let me do a video to let others know that this is an opportunity that can be offered to businesses, private labeling. So the video is about private branding for jewelry lines, a strategic growth opportunity. Of course, it's me, Darlene Knight, Jewelry by BDK, presenter. And who is this for? It's for jewelry makers, creatives, and small business owners ready to scale their businesses. And a lot of people are wanting to scale their business, their handmade jewelry business. It could be candles. It could be dolls that people make. It's just like anything that this is not specifically just for jewelry. These private branding opportunities can be offered for just about anything that you create. And they are offered all around the world. Like just about any product that you can think of is offered as a private branding opportunity, for those who want to take advantage of it. The goal: learn how to create, package, and offer private branded jewelry products to retailers, influencers, boutique owners, and everyday hustlers. We all know an everyday hustler. We know an everyday hustler that can take anything you give them. And by the end of the day, they've been sold that and they are bringing you some money. Okay, so we all know people who are everyday hustlers who are looking for really good products, high quality products that they can sell. And it's just a reality. And then what is private branding? The definition for private branding, it's also called white labeling, is when your product is sold under another business's brand name. So they buy from you, that business buys from you. And generally, when we sell our items, we brand them. We may have cards, we may have the envelopes, we may have the packaging, and everything is branded with Jewelry by BDK or whatever that business name is when someone buys something from us, right? In this case, we're selling it as a white label or with the opportunity for that business to private brand it, meaning that they will put their branding on our product. That's what they will do, but they're buying from you in bulk. So if they're buying 100 of your ethnic boho bracelets, right? And generally when they're packaged up, my branding is on the ones that I sent out, right? Not unless what happened. A person asked me, hey, Miss Darlene, do you do where I can buy? They didn't know that it was called white labeling or private branding. They didn't know that at the time. One of them said, well, hey, I want to buy from you, but I want to sell it under my brand name. Would that be okay? So I explained to the person, oh yeah, that's called white labeling or private labeling. You are welcome to do that. Just remember that I still own the design. The design belongs to me, but you're welcome to buy the product and brand it under your branding. So that is how those two kind of came about. And this is real common in fashion, beauty, food, and it's really growing now in the jewelry industry. And it's something that, a lot of people, if you're trying to elevate your business, you can really take advantage of this and like really make it grow. And you have to be selling wholesale. So if you're selling wholesale, right, versus retail, so you have 100 pieces that a business wants to buy from you. I want 100 of your pieces and I want to buy them at the private label offering, right? Versus 100 pieces selling them at retail. So now I have to find 100 people to buy 100 pieces, right? Or would I rather one person buy 100 pieces and then offer them the opportunity to brand under their name? I will always take the second choice. I will always go with, yeah, you buy 100, you brand, you have my permission, but not without, some agreements and things. Why offer private branding? New revenue streams. We are all looking for new revenue streams. We're not necessarily looking for passive revenue streams, but we are looking for new revenue streams. We all need some extra money coming in, and we all should be wanting to take advantage of what it is that we have to try to establish new revenue streams, right? Also, bulk or repeat orders. So the bulk or repeat orders is because you're selling to them private labeling or white labeling, and you're saying to them, yep, you can buy this from me and you can put your own branding on it. So when the product does well for them, they have to come back to you to buy that same product, right? Because it's sold, it did well for them, so now they need more. And it helps position you as a go-to manufacturer or supplier for that particular product that sells well for them, right? And it also expands your reach beyond your own brand. And that's what we all want to do. We want to expand, we want to grow, we want to, get our product out there the best way that we can. And also what to offer. You can offer signature pieces in neutral or customizable styles. That is all up to you. You can offer seasonal collections. That's up to you. Personalized packaging like tags, cards, boxes with their branding. So whoever that entity is, or store or boutique or museum or whoever that is buying from you, what makes it even more attractive is because that you can personalize the tags, the cards, the boxes with their branding. So that gives you a leg up or an advantage over other vendors or sellers, right? Because that's like me. I don't do tags, cards, boxes, or anything. I don't customize any of that type of stuff like that. But there are those who customize things. They can customize those things. And not only will they get 100 bracelets or 100 pair of earrings, the packaging comes along with it with their branding information on it. So that makes you even more valuable to them, right? And the pieces should be display ready for the retailers when they get it. The less work is possible. So you're literally selling them a private labeled a private label uh, items. They're private, but with their branding on it. So when the retailer receives the package from you, everything is personalized with their tags, their cards, their boxes, or whatever. If you offer that with their name, their business name, maybe their logo or whatever information that they wanted to be included, right? And when they get it, it should be ready for them to put it on the shelf. Who to target? Boutique owners. We talked about that. We always talk about that. Boutique owners, amusement park shops, and people look past amusement parks. They look past museums and cultural institutions, and I don't know why people look past them. Maybe because they believe that they're hard to get into. No place is hard to sell to. No place is hard to sell to if the quality is there and if it matches their what they're all about, what their branding is, what they're selling, what they are all about. If your product communicates what they're communicating, why would they not want what you offer? Why would they not want that? And then also you could always do subscription boxes. That's something that you can put together. You can offer that as white labeling or private labeling. Subscription boxes, you can offer, hey, we have subscription boxes that we offer. We can customize these with your branding and like all that good stuff. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to offer. And also stylists, influencers, or merch-based businesses, because people are always looking for high quality, really good products. It's almost like the news, and I think people think the news always has news, which they do, but the weekend news don't always have news. So the weekend journalists are always fishing around and searching around to try to find some type of news. That's why you'll see that many times they're in the field on the weekends covering community events, because they're a skeleton crew during the weekends, not during the weekday. And if you notice, the height of the news, like it's really, well, some of these are like 24 hours, so they always got stuff going on. But like local news, you'll see like with local news, especially on the weekend, they cover like a lot of community events because they always need some type of news. That's like with boutiques and amusement parks, museums, and stylists, influencers. They need product. They need stuff, and why not you be the one that provide them with what it is that they need? And then let's go into the setup. What you need. Your top selling or most adoptable designs is what you are going to be pitching to folks. You're going to have a price list with wholesale and private label rates on it. You're also going to provide a simple intake form or questionnaire. You got to ask them questions. You want to fill them out. Hey, this is the communication that goes on. Branding add-ons like packaging options, color palettes, style variations, and these are things that you communicate with the potential buyer. Because like initially with me, the question was, can I get a lot of the evil eye type bracelets? I just want them in all different colors. Oh, by the way, I would like some in like rainbow. Can you da 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 da? Absolutely, I could do that for you. But that was a conversation that had to be had between me and one of the buyers, and then me and another buyer. So like I said, I have two people that buy from me like that. Private labeling, that's why I'm doing the video. I'm like, okay, I do this, and maybe somebody else may be interested in doing it. So here I am. Packaging and presentation. How would their branding show up on your product? That's a good question. And that's a conversation between you and the retailer. How would you like, this is what I offer. Is this acceptable for you? If not, what did you have in mind? Right? And if they say, oh, well, I kind of wanted it to have this, that, or the other, and I did want to have this. Oh, okay, that's customizable. I would be customizing that for you. There is an additional fee that comes with that. So you're not doing anything extra for free. So if you got 100 bracelets, and those 100 bracelets are, let's say, just bracelets that don't have charms. So the person or the retailer, potential customer says, oh, okay, well, I want 100 of those, and I want them with a butterfly charm on them. Can you put a butterfly charm on each one of them? And then can you possibly put them in like the little small boxes, right? Now that's customizable because I don't have butterflies on these, nor do I package them in the small boxes. They come in the plastic bags with the information in the inside, right? So you're going to communicate that, but then you're also going to say, okay, that is something that I can do, but remember that's customizable. And then there are extra fees that will go along with that. And then here are those extra fees. So those are things that you want to communicate. You know, those are branding add-ons, packaging and presentation. How will their branding show up on your product? We just talked about that. Options would be logo tags because they would more than likely send you their logo, their business name. They might even have jewelry cards. They might have branded boxes. They might have printed pouches, you know, all that type of thing. But the only something that you would need from them is basically their logo. So if they already have jewelry cards and branded boxes and printed pouches and all that kind of stuff, they don't need you to package it up for them. But there are some that don't have all that, and they could just be, you know, maybe just starting, or they just haven't got to that point where they brand this way. So they'll ask you, oh, okay, well, what type of branding can I get, or da 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 da, right? And then that's where you say, hey, well, I can do this, that, or the other, or I don't do any additional. You know, that's a whole conversation that you would have with the potential customer. Invest in professional, consistent packaging. We always want to do that. It can be simple packaging. It does not have to be real extravagant with a box full of confetti and all kind of tissue paper, and that's extra. That's just too much. And then pricing strategy. Here's where a lot of people have a lot of issues with pricing, trying to figure out what to charge, how to charge. I have some ebooks on the Jewelry by BDK website, www.jbbdk.com, and you can go to under digital products, and I have a couple of books in there that talk about pricing strategy and stuff. So it includes production costs, branding, customization fees. We just talked about that. Bulk order minimums. You do want to have minimums. It does not make sense for somebody to be buying 5 wholesale pieces from you, private labeling. It's like, no, the minimum for this particular bracelet that you're looking at right here, the minimum is 100. You have to buy 100 of those from me in order to take advantage of the private labeling opportunity. It's not 5, it's not 10, it's not 20, it's 100, right? Because remember, they're buying in bulk at wholesale from you. So it has to make sense for you. It just got to make sense. It's like, nope, we ain't doing that. And then also leave room for the client markup, like aim for between 2 and 3 times their retail price. Also, how to pitch private branding. You want to create a branded PDF or slide deck, something like what I'm doing right here. Showcase samples with their branding on it. You want to have their branding. So if you got to lift their logo, if they sent you their logo, if whatever. So if you're pitching to them, let's say you want to pitch to, I don't know, like the California African American Museum or something, and you have like these beautiful black dolls that you sell, and they stand up on these real wicked wood stands that you made for them to stand up on, and right? So you would put something like that together. You would put like a branded PDF or slide deck together with and show what it would look like as their product, because that's what is going to become their product under their branding. And that is how you're going to sell it to them. Let's see. Use language like exclusive, custom, and ready to sell. Those are trigger words. Exclusive, custom, and ready to sell. Those words excite retailers, especially if it's ready to sell. I don't have to do anything but wait for the box to come, open that box, and it's ready to sell. Include benefits, no inventory headache for them, fully branded, quick turnaround. And then that's what you want to do. There should be no extra anything that these people have to do. They shouldn't have to open the box and start packaging up packaging up things themselves, unless they have their own jewelry cards and boxes and all that type of stuff, and they're going to do that on their end. But when whatever is agreed with you, you want to make sure that you cover whatever it is that you're supposed to do, so that when they get the box, they open the box, you have exceeded beyond what they have expected. Okay. And then also, like, real world examples, you can share client case studies or mock-ups. So you can do some mock-ups. And let's say it's a museum store with gemstone history necklaces. You're going to create some gemstone necklaces that are history necklaces, that where you can show and say, okay, well, these are some of the necklaces that I can offer to you, da 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 da, all that good stuff. And also, if it's an influencer who sells spiritual charms, bracelets under their name, they would be sold under their name. So you're just going to create some real world examples, do some mock-ups, some case studies and stuff like that. Common questions that come along with this. Do I lose ownership? You do not lose ownership. Not at all. You retain design rights unless you agree otherwise, unless you agree to something else, right? And don't be out here giving your design rights away or anything like such, right? They're just buying the product from you to be able to private label it under their brand so that they can sell it. So it's like you're saying, hey, you can buy my stuff and then go ahead and just go ahead and put it under you, just brand it under you, right? But remember, I still own the rights to it. Okay. Can they customize everything? You control what is customizable. That's a conversation that you have with the potential customer. Everything is all on you. What about returns? Define terms clearly in agreement. I don't do returns. I don't do anything like that, because remember, I'm offering private labeling. I'm offering you something that I'm not offering to anybody else. So no, I'm offering you the opportunity, and I'm allowing you to brand my product under you, under your brand. So I don't never do returns or anything. Final tips for success: start with a limited option to avoid overwhelming yourself. That only means don't be out here trying to start with 100 different designs. You can start with 10 designs, 20 designs, 30 designs, whatever it is that you can handle. But remember, when you start pitching to museums and amusement parks and hospital gift shops and influencers and all these people, especially the bigger ones, they buy in bulk. I'm saying 100, but they may want 500 or something. So if you're not ready for that type of stuff, then you want to just go ahead and wait it out and practice on fair.com or something, like getting product together. And if you got a workroom and the space where you're able to continually work on product and work on product and work on product and work on product and work on product, and maybe get into the habit of trying to duplicate some of those things, because your goal is to sell wholesale in bulk, or maybe private labeling, or not even private labeling, but selling in bulk. You want to start getting into the habit of producing product like that, right? Test your packaging with samples. And I think we all kind of do that. Use contracts for every private label partnership. This is very, very important. This is where the communication comes in, where nobody can come back and say, oh, well, I thought. Well, no, you couldn't have thought, because that's not what we talked about. That's why you signed to the contract. That's why we talked about that contract in extent over and over again. And whatever language is in the contract is the same language that you want to be communicating back and forth verbally before they even sign the contract. So by the time they get to the contract, what you have talked about verbally is familiar in written form. So you want to always do that, reiterate verbally and in writing. Also highlight your turnaround time, consistency, and craftsmanship. You want to always talk about the good stuff like that. Also, ready to offer private branding? Yeah, you're ready. You're ready. Checklist. Designs selected. So select the designs you want to do, like 10, 20 different designs. And remember, you're selling in bulk. So if you're selecting 10 designs or 20 designs, you're going to have 100 of this one, 100 of this one, 100 of this one, right? Also, pricing and packaging defined. That's going to be the language in your contract, as well as in your verbal conversation when you're talking to potential customers, right? Pitch deck made. You're going to put your pitch deck together. And remember, the same communication runs throughout everything you put together. Your pitch deck, your your price list, anything and everything in your contracts. That conversation is threaded throughout any way that you communicate, okay? And then target outreach list started. So you have to put together a target list. So if you say, like right now today, after listening to this video, ooh, you know what? I think I want to do some private labeling. And then you begin to target your outreach, like which companies would you want to reach out to? Which amusement parks? Would it be the zoo? Would it be SeaWorld? Would it be, I'm just talking these places, come in San Diego. It could be Disney. It could be, like anywhere. And don't think any one of these places is out of your reach, because it's not. It's persistence and consistency that will get us what we want, right? Think about the Proverbs 31 woman. She was a business woman. She saw a field, she bought it, and then she began to plant. That is just like a business. We see a business we might want to do business with, and what we do, we got to pitch to them. But when we pitch to them, we got to have everything ready, from our social media presence to our website, to our letters, to our contracts. Like, everything has to be ready to go. You can't go out here pitching and you don't have anything ready for anybody. I mean, you just can't do that stuff. You just got to be ready. And this video is only for people that are, wanting to do that. And there's a lot of people, that are wanting to elevate their businesses to an entirely new level. But how sweet would it be if you can get 2, 3, 4, 5 really good, solid customers that come to you every month to buy from you in bulk? That's a blessing. That is like some of the most beautiful stuff, ever. And it's doable. It's doable, and you can do it if it's something that you want to do. We put in all these hours on a regular job. We give these people 30, 35, 40 years of our life. And then by the time we come up out of there, we don't have nothing left to do anything for ourselves. Not I, said the little woman who sits in the corner quietly minding her business. I'm not coming out like that. I'm not doing that. But that's just me. So that's just me. But anyway, I think I've talked enough. And also, I have put together some sample letters. There's about 20 sample letters. So when and if you want to begin pitching to any one of these entities, or you want to set up your fair.com store, and set your fair.com store up. If you can get on Fair, try to apply for Fair and let that be your starting place for wholesale, because all these places that I promise you that that you want to target, they shop off of Fair. So if you set up your Fair marketplace, your store on Fair and everything, you can also present that in the letters when you send them out, like when you pitch to them, and it's like, oh, okay, well, they're on Fair already, right? So that's something you want to do. And there's a link in the description down there that you can grab that, click on over it if you want to do that. Also, click on over to the website, www.jbbdk.com, and you can purchase that sample letters guide. That's available over there. And you can take the letters as sample letters and not only just use them for what we're talking about here, you can use them for if you got a boutique in mind. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to approach them. I don't know what to say. These letters will help you out. So you can take the letters, you can copy the letters, you can revise the letters, whatever you want to do, but they are there for you to use. Okay. And guess what? We'll talk.